Welcome to my revised Z32 cipher solution video. About a year ago I posted another video that went through a number of different methodologies for looking for a solution, and I did have a couple of potential solutions, but I didn't know as much about cryptography and cipher consistencies those time. So since then I've been playing around with a number of other options on the map and also highlighting the importance of these large crosshairs, and have come up with a solution independently to the Alex Baber and his investigation team who's looking into the Zodiac and Black Dahlia connections. I had some contact with Alex a number of months ago that was highly collaborative. He asked me to hold off on posting this until it was formally announced. So I thought now's a good time to put it up just so people can see my methodology. Perhaps I'm coming from the bottom up. Alex is coming from a solution to the Z13 and a suspect in mind. I think they help validate each other. I think it's a really good solution, and it's worth going through some of the communications that Zodiac sent in because they relate to the map and the final solution, and particularly the location. So when the Zodiac sent in his bus bomb letter, November 9th, 1969, he mentioned, "I've killed 7 people," and he sent in this large crosshair. All his other Zodiac symbols were quite small, almost like a signature. But on this large crosshair, he did a number of X's around the circumference, and he also did this angled writing here. He could have just done this horizontally down or vertically down the page. He's done it at an angle which kind of alludes to perhaps shifting this to magnetic north, which he spoke about in subsequent letters. Without any idea of inches, if we actually just draw lines out from these crosses when rotated to magnetic north, we get the canonical primes of Zodiac plus 2 unconfirmed crimes, 7 victims. I've killed 7 people. So that's quite interesting. Obviously this has been gone through a lot in the past, and I even wonder how early people had started to look at this, or police even in 1969, whether they realized this and whether the law enforcement realized the power and the key of all of these large crosshairs. In the same letter he sent through the first bus bomb diagram sketch. Shows a 2-lane road and bombs buried into the side of the road, which of course, as I've been through in other videos, may be ridiculous. There may not actually be a bomb. We never found it. It could be literal, but it also could be something that's symbolic. He then sent through on June 26, 1970, the Phillips 66 map, and he said, "The map coupled with the code will tell you where the bomb is set. You have until next fall to dig it up." Code's a very short code, and a lot of people have theorized that, well, there's infinite solutions because it's so small. But he also sent through some clear instructions on the map. He shows us the meridian point of Mount Diablo. He has the astronomical or the page north. We have the azimuth 0 rotating round clockwise, and then we have 0 is to be set to magnetic north. There's no other information on the map, but due to the scale, we do know that, and the frame of the map, that that's the constraints. And within the cipher itself, we have the constraints of certain repeating symbols, the C, the open triangle, and the 0 or the O, and just the length of the cipher itself. By this stage, he's saying he's killed 12 people. So the estimate that I came up with about 6 months ago, and what Alex Baber and his team have come up with, is estimate 4 radian and 3 inches. There are a number of other solutions that also work. There's the Richard Grinnell-Druser solution, which is really good. Estimate 4 radians and 5 inches. And there's another one I came up with, Rodeo, estimate 5 radian and 3 inches. Now, first of you, what you'll see on all 3 of these are consistencies with the E, S, and the O. There's also some internal consistencies like I and I, D and D on some of these. And then there's consistencies between the 408 and 340 cipher. And what you'll start seeing is they're all the same combination of numbers. If we have estimate here and we have radian in the middle, we need the R in the radian for this cipher consistency. Therefore, this first number must be a 4-letter number, 4, 5. Now it could be 9, but then 9 is off the map. It can't really be 1 or 2. And then the second number for inches, we really need it to be 5 or 3 because of this cipher consistency here with the C and the E. It can't be 4 because you have R. So it has to be 3, 5. Where we line them up, exactly the A kind of hits Oakland around the Coliseum Airport, over here around Pacifica, Bruno, and then up here Rodeo. Grinnell-Druser line is taken it out to Ingleside Police Department in San Francisco jurisdiction. With estimate, we can be very precise like this, or estimate could be fairly loose. And what we have to remember is Zodiac may not have been using all these rulers and protractors. What he may have simply been doing is finding a location, for example, Mountain View Cemetery, and just thumbing off like, well, it's close to the 3-inch mark, and well, the closest radian line is 4, and that becomes a rough area of Oakland, and then we need other information to determine the finite exact physical location. Also with the radians as well, I don't know if actually Zodiac was trying to be fancy with these radian lines, like some people have suggested. I think there's a much more practical solution, which is it breaks up the map into 6 segments. If you used astronomy in 12, it's too many. If you used north, south, east, west, it's not enough. The 6 radians may have just been a simple practical solution where he can mark out an angle and a length dimension. Now let's have a look at this estimate range, because with estimate 4 radian and 3 inches, that potentially could take us to quite a number of different possibilities. Bang on the radian line of 4 and 3 inches, we have Oakland Airport and Oakland Coliseum pretty close. There's some other areas of interest like Alameda and the Naval Air Force Base. We could go all the way down towards Hayward and all the way up towards Berkeley. And then of course we have Alex Baber's proposal, Mountain View Cemetery in there as well. So they could all work because they're close to the 4 radian line, further away from 5, and that sort of thing. It's also worth noting here the difference between this solution and the Rodeo solution. They use radian rather than radians, whereas the Grinnell-Druser solution uses radians in plural. But the reality is you're only looking at 1 radian line, so it can be singular. If it was 1 inch, that would destroy the code and it wouldn't work with cipher consistencies. But we can have inches in plural because it's 3, but the radian line is 4, it's a singularity. So I think that's okay. So here's the big one. Coming back to these large crosshairs, in the little list letter, July 26, 1970, he wrote us a number of other clues. There was actually 2 large crosshairs sent through in this letter, and he also gave us the actual literal hint of concerns radians and inches along the radians through here. If we take the San Francisco Police Department emboldened 0 here, set 0 to magnetic north, and we rotate or crank that round and stretch it out almost to 3 inches, we do indeed get Mountain View Cemetery. So that's a plausible and even compelling location that is determined by this clue in this large crosshair coupled with the map. With the hint here on this open large crosshair, there is the mount, the M of the mount Diablo, does cross the circumference. And if we rotate and crank that round to magnetic north, it's very, very close to the 4 radian line. So he may be giving a hint here to the code solution and actually the finite physical location Mount View Cemetery. If we stretch that out further along the inches line, we do hit San Francisco Police Department as well. It's possible that he was meaning or taunting San Francisco Police Department with this. However, if we go back to his letter, you have until next fall to dig it up. There's not really much to dig up at San Francisco Police Department, nor is there much to dig up at Ingleside Police Department, although I do know the Brunel Druser solution was alluding to an embankment that buses potentially could pass by near the Ingleside, but we never found a bomb, so we could take this literally. However, a better location would be the cemetery where there is graves to dig up, possibly even a connection with the Halloween cards, dancing skeletons. There's thousands of dead bodies there. Now, it must be noted, I don't believe any of the canonical or unconfirmed Zodiac victims are buried in Mountain View Cemetery, but Elizabeth Short, the Black Dahlia victim, is buried there. So with these estimate ranges of radian and inches, if we don't use the large crosshairs as hints sent in by the Zodiac in unison with these bus bomb diagram threads, we're left with this problem of these huge tracts of land and huge ranges of both radian and inches. We start taking up the whole map with these 3 code solutions. That becomes hugely problematic. One could choose a location anywhere in here. So in a way, the key comes back to these large crosshairs. The Zodiac, in a sense, could have actually written the map coupled with the code, coupled with the large crosshairs, will tell you where the bomb is set. You have until next fall to dig it up. Well, what are we digging up? The first large crosshair with the first bus bomb diagram letter shows his canonical and some unconfirmed victims. The large SFPD equals 0 with the emboldened 0, plausibly and compelling, it's reasonable to suggest that's Mount View Cemetery. Possibly another Zodiac victim, the Black Dahlia victim, Elizabeth Short. And this large crosshair that's open gives us literally radian and inches, and potentially even the 4 radian line. So I think we should be open-minded about this solution. I think it's a great code solution in terms of cipher consistency. The large crosshairs potentially give us a relatively accurate physical location. We then also have this potential that if you're coming in from Z32 and you have a solution of Marvin Merrill, Marvin Margolis and the Black Dahlia killer, if you're looking at Z32, the very first thing you're going to look for in considering the Phillips 66 map and the code is Mountain View Cemetery. Even if you didn't have that from the Z32 and you just had Marvin Margolis as a potential suspect, that's still the first thing that you'd be looking at. So while it's difficult to take everything Zodiac said literally, this seems like a plausible solution. While there are other code solutions that also work, the big problem of determining a location needs to consider other clues to this puzzle that the Zodiac sent in his letter. The first bus bomb diagram and the little list letter with this emboldened 0 that's highlighted for a reason. And then of course this one that just literally gives us the clue and potentially actually as a gimme gives you 4 radians. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please look out for more information that will be coming through from Alex Baber and his team. I've just come at this from the code solution from the bottom up, looking at different results and different possibilities. I think personally the 4 radian 3 inches is a great solution. but Alex Baber's the one who's come up with the location of Mountain View Cemetery and Elizabeth Short. From my perspective, having two independent researchers that come to the same conclusion is powerful. The methodology is the same between Alex Baber, Richard Grinnell-Druser and myself in understanding these maps and understanding Radian. And then, of course, we have all of these clues like angles, victims, and the large crosshairs working together. So estimate 4 radian and 3 inches.